Now is not the time to think like, oh, we'll get to that another day. Like, no, your systems should be helping your team all day long. And anybody who's adverse to that might need to think about retiring. All right, everybody, I am here to talk about my predictions for 2026. And the good news is this is all included in our new strategic planner for 2026. So I actually give you a whole breakdown of these strategies and exactly what to do about them. 2026, I think, is going to be a year like no other. What do I mean by that? I think, the market conditions are going to shift, and some of us might be thinking, the market conditions are going back. Yes, but there will be some bigger challenges that we need to deal with. And if your agency is prepared, you can succeed. You can more than succeed. You can thrive. If your agency is not prepared, then it's going to be like playing soccer on a football field. So let me tell you a little bit about not only our predictions, but what to do about them. So we know carriers are still going to leverage a lot of technology, whether that's drone inspections, AI, telematics is going to be huge. I like to tell people right now, you got to be really nerdy in 2026. We need to be the smartest people in the room. And that means that your agency is going to need to learn all of the things like telematics, carrier apps. I'm just thinking that in 2026, the agencies that are going to survive are going to be so knowledgeable, not just like coverage, auto liability and, limits. I'm talking about your carriers, the unique coverages, going really deep into them. There's still going to be a lot of mergers and acquisitions, which is an opportunity. If you're not merging and you are trying to acquire, there will be opportunities to acquire, but there'll also be disruption. That means talent in the marketplace. That also means clients that you can pick up. But you know what? One of the things we are all going to have to focus on is rates are stabilizing. Many agencies shrunk their policies in force, but based on rate. Awesome. We still grew. Now, if our policies in force keep shrinking and the rate stabilize, or in some areas even go soft, we have a ginormous problem on our hands. So I like to say now is the time to get geared up on keeping our clients. How do we save cancellations? How do we strategically remarket? And when we say strategically remarket, it means we got to get something from that remarketing strategy. And also, too, how do we know how to apply every discount, every quote strategy that we can? That's what I mean about being really nerdy. Clients are going to expect more because they're paying more. I like to use this example with a lot of my clients. If I stay at a Ritz-Carlton, what are my expectations? They are different than if I'm staying at the Courtyard Marriott, right? And I think that for many people, we have not downshifted and understand that we need to be more than exceptional. And I say this because I've listened to what feels like a truck ton. I want to say another word that rhymes with truck. I recorded calls recently, and I'm not impressed. We're not confirming contact information. We're very transactional. We're not professional. Like all of the standards, all of our professionalism, all of our service strategy have just gone downhill. We're just like getting by. And that's got to go in 2026. We need to level back up in a big way because our clients are going to expect more. And if they're not treated extraordinarily, they are going to shop. And when they shop, they will find other opportunities. Over the past couple of years, our clients have shopped their insurance. They might have stayed with you because the market conditions were so tight. Well, now when they shop, they might find something better. And for this reason, I'm also very cognitive of when they shopped, if they shopped with a Progressive or State Farm or Farm Bureau or even another local agent, that agent was doing what we recommend. Your client's information's in that database and they're going to keep getting hit. And it's just that first time you make a mistake, you don't call them back. We don't get to them proactively, that whole relationship should crumble. So we have to be prepared that our client information is going to be targeted over the next few months and years. And it should be if you're running a good business. We should be doing that too. There's a ton of retirements coming up in the insurance space. This is another market trend, and there's not enough people coming in. And I say this because I really firmly believe that agencies need to start embracing VAs, entry-level positions, bots, self-serve options. We need to be open-minded to training new people. I can tell you, we've run pilot programs where we pit experienced people against brand new licensed people. The newly licensed people with a script, a process, and a checklist far exceed the people that have too much head trash. Now, I love good veterans in this industry, but veterans, we need to up our game too and not be so resistant to change. And agency owners, we need to embrace new people and really invest in training programs, whether it's things that we do here at APP, your carriers do. You need to have an onboarding and training program because we are going to need to welcome new people and teach them insurance. It's just that simple. You can putz about it or you can do something about it. And I can't stand hearing, oh, there's nobody on the market. There's nobody good to hire. Half the time, anytime somebody's on the market, it might not be who you want. Learn how to build them. We also have to understand that, we are no longer going to be able to really predict where to place business. Some carriers have even announced that they're underwriting by square mile. What this means is you cannot assume where it's going. You need to embrace raters. We need to embrace technology like Gaia, the super copy and paste. We need to embrace all sorts of different strategies to make quoting efficient. But if you want to just stick with, I know where to go, be freaking S in 2026. That is lazy. That is you not wanting to change. That is you not embracing the new world. You will lose clients because you're not looking at the markets correctly. They're going to open and close and do creative things and then stop doing creative things. So you won't be able to tell. You have to use your tools. You need to capitalize on rising new business opportunities. There's a lot of clients out there that are going to be contacting your agencies for new business quotes because they have been so frustrated over the past few years, but had to stay. And now when they want to move, we need to be prepared. We need to prioritize sales. We need to have a sales process, not just a quoting process. I was just talking with somebody yesterday we're doing some sales training with, and I looked at their sales process and I go, where's the sales in this? And she kind of laughed and I go, this is a quote process. There's no reference of sales. You need to treat people well and understand who you're targeting and really dive deep into sales training, not quoting training, sales training. We also have that live virtual training, recorded training, or in person in case anyone needs it. We also need to think about having technology assisted processes to meet demands. I'm a huge believer of self-serve options. I'm a huge believer of utilizing our management system. Now is not the time to think like, oh, well, we'll get to that another day. Like, no, your systems should be helping your team all day long. And anybody who's adverse to that might need to think about retiring. And I hate to be that blunt about it, but technology is here to stay. We need it to stay ahead of the game. We will not win if we are not embracing technology and having our clients embrace technology as well so that they can get what they need faster and we don't have to spend our time sending auto ID cards. We can spend our time on renewal reviews. This is an exchange and a leveling up of time that we are desperately needing in this industry. We also have to focus on facts, not feelings. I am over hearing about how people feel. I feel busy. I feel overwhelmed. I feel this. I feel that. I'm like, great, amazing. So let's go look at the numbers. And then I look and it's like, we were on the phone 2 hours yesterday. What is going on? I think that if you let your feelings dictate everything, you're never going to get ahead. I use this example a lot. If you take 20 phone calls and let's just say that one of them is bad, you had a 95% success rate. Your feelings are that you're a piece of garbage. Your facts are different. We need to go to facts. Agencies need to embrace their management system. Stop making excuses on why they can't use their system or their data. Learn. It works if you work it. Embrace it. Take the trainings. Go to the conventions. Join the user group. It is how your agency will run for the rest of the decades coming up. So if you're late to this train, you're missing a key component. So now that's kind of predictions. Here's how we get there. We have to be proactive. Okay. We have to do renewal reviews. We have to find things, find the people who got the new roof, talk to them about price, which, also makes another point that I have. We, as an industry, have to stop being so damn scared to talk about price and premium. It's like we do everything in our power to avoid it, to not talk about it, to re-quote before we talk to somebody out of absolute nonsense. It's a conversation. You didn't pick the premium. Why are we so riled up and just knotted up about, oh my God, the rate went up, the rate went up, the rate went up. It went up. Let's just call the person and talk about it. I can't in 2026 get over the fact that we are still running with our little tail tucked between our legs being like, I'm sorry, your price went up. Listen, here's what's going on. Here's my plan. Let's go for it. You need to be seen as a solutions provider, not someone who's timid in the corner shying away from price. The more confident we are, the better we are. But we are like brainwashed. And I've seen so many agencies now remodel everything, and they don't even realize it to be about price. Stop. Stop. If you're remarketing before you call somebody, you're making it about price. If you're calling them at a certain rate trigger, you're making it about price. If you're calling up people and not making recommendations for them to increase coverage because the price went up, you're making it about price. I don't understand. I understand that clients are upset about price, but they're upset because we're not being confident. We're not being their agent. Your rate went up. I know times are tough. That voice that comes over when listening to recorded phone calls, it makes me like cringe. No, we have to stop. I don't understand why we identify it being a problem that somebody's rates went up. Yes, they might be upset, but here's the thing. I would rather have that conversation with them than them go have it with another agent. So let's get into that arena and have those conversations with people. Not all of them are going to go sunshine, rainbows, and lollipops, but my job is not to be liked. It's to be respected as their agent and be there on the worst day of their life. And that's what we have to focus on. But if you've reworked your agency to be around price and you're listening to this, boo, you need the strategic planner to get out of it. You need this. You need our renewal review call program. Let's go out and make this about coverage. So I think another thing that we have to do is get very, very good at what we call strategic remarketing. When we remarket, we're going to get something out of it. So if we do renewal reviews and it leads to a remarket, we cannot shop the book away. We're already dropping PIF. The rates are stabilized. Now we're going to go down. And if the market softens, we're in a problem. You need to be getting them on self-serve options, asking for referrals, Google reviews, cross sells. We need to be increasing coverage. We also need to be very clear that we're doing this for our own self, but also for that client. Why are we remarketing them online? I don't know. The options are not as good when there's another line out there that we can probably get. We also need training on how to, and this is what I'm saying, we need the nerdiest people in there, your core carriers. People need training on that, how to quote, core discounts. We need to get over our fear of telematics. It's not going away. You don't have to have it on your policy, but shoot, you better learn how to quote it and give people the option. It's their policy, not your policy, okay? It's not your policy. Get good at it. Know your core carriers. Know the discounts. Know where the breaks are. Know all of the little coverages like home cyber and EPLI statistics. We need to be nerdy to keep our clients. This also leads me to the fact that we also need to understand how to save a cancellation. Someone calls in, wants to cancel. It's like, oh no, sweet pea. I don't leave that easy. But I see here again, I hear all these recorded phone calls. Oh, you found something cheaper. I understand. Let me get you what you need. Have a nice day. We'll call you next year. No, aggressive. This person's trying to break up with you. If you believe you're the best for them, then that's what you need. You need a copy of that policy. You need to requote them right away. You need to not take no for an answer. And at the end of the day, if all that fails, then fine. But it's so much easier to leave an agency than it is to get a quote. And I don't understand that. Our barrier to quoting is so high. Our barrier to leave is like, here's the red carpet. Would you like a glass of champagne on your way out? We just have to stop that. That's ridiculous. We have to be proactive, stop it. We got to be nerdy about the coverages, about the carriers. This is also a huge time to let go of our time vampire clients. Take the bottom 10% of your book, tell them bye, like in sync. When they call in, we're not reshopping them. Give them a copy of their policy. Level up your time. Yes, I know that will shrink your PIF, but the amount of time you're going to win back is going to give you the time to cross-sell, proactively make renewal review calls, get rid of time vampires. We need to also make sure, if we're going to be efficient, that your management system is your system of truth. What do I mean by that? None of this BS. It's in my notepad. It's in my email. System. That's it. If it's not in the management system, it didn't happen. And managers need to start getting fierce on that front. I can't stand the fact that we're like immune to the idea that E&O doesn't exist. We need everything in the systems and we need a standardized process, right? I go to Starbucks. My drink order is the same everywhere I go. I go to an independent insurance agency. Depends if I'm Kelly Donahue or Kelly Piro or who picks up the phone or what happens. Whole different experience. Why? because we are scared to change our staff. We are scared that the staff won't do it. We need to get aggressive on training them, holding them accountable, auditing, and say, this is what we're doing. Pretty sure you get fired at Starbucks if you give me oat milk versus the milk I want, right? You do. Why are we leaving it up to chance? It starts with you, though. Getting those procedures written, training your team, being the nerdiest person in the room, okay? We also need to role play this price conversation. And I'm sorry, in 2026, zero tolerance for people who bring their personal business to work. We have to go. We have clients that need us. We've asked our clients to hold on. They're looking for us to be the best agents that we can be. If someone is arguing with their kid over their homework all day, or, taking this or doing that or texting all day, we are leveling up our standards in 2026. I am over it. The standards have gotten too low. We need to go back to being people's agents and not focusing on a million other things that don't have to do with protecting what people work really hard for, and that our clients expect that we are proactively doing on their behalf. So we also need to stop thinking that, that the time will come for your bots, your virtual assistants, and entry-level roles. The time is now. We need to embrace anything that's going to help us call as many people as possible and have good, hearty insurance conversations. But that also leads me to the fact that we need to drive growth in new business. So we need to switch from a service mindset to building sales cultures inside of insurance agency, which means we have to train beyond quoting and binding. We need to set agency standards. What are we walking away from? We don't need to welcome more time vampires in if we're trying to exit them out the back door. So we don't need to write everybody. Just because you have a market that can doesn't mean that we should. And it's amazing when you start looking at like our secret shopper calls, what's going on. But sales is easy. You want to up the revenue per account. You want to up the policies per account. You want to find people that are mutually beneficial, and you need to vet them and put them through an extraordinary, well-orchestrated, practiced and rehearsed process so they're blown away and impressed by you. But I can tell you by listening to a lot of recorded phone calls, unimpressive. We are quoting, not selling. And we also have to embrace data. Now is the time. Clean up your management systems, clean up your reports, look at reports, share reports. One of my big passions is I call it democratizing the data. I get so frustrated when I ask him, what's your retention rate? I don't know. Okay, how much are you selling to a business? I don't know. I'm like, first of all, why don't you want to know? But second of all, why is no one sharing this with you? We need to clean up the data and present it and get people to have ownership. I believe every team member should have their own scorecard where we are looking at their data, we are looking at their book of business, and we are strategizing with them on how to grow. If they don't know it, because we haven't taken the time to have the right processes to make the data right, to understand it ourselves, you're going to operate on floating around on facts or feelings. And I can tell you this, what the feelings are going to lead to is you're going to be overstaffed and still not get ahead. That's what I'm saying. Many agencies you walk into actually have too many people and are failing to get ahead. What they don't have is the right processes and procedures. This also means we need to manage by performance. We are going to go back to leading and managing people without fear. I know during the hard market and during COVID was a different time. We had to be empathetic. Everybody was dealing with a whole different set of things that was going on. Hard market. We were just trying to stay afloat. Completely agree. That's over. That's in the past. As you turn on to 2026, you better be looking at the future, where we are going to look at retention rate. We are going to look at closing ratio. We are going to look at if you come in time. We are going to look at your backlogs. We are going to go back to managing by performance. And that means that there might not be bonuses. There might not be raises. There has to not just be carrots in your agency. There has to be sticks as well. Many agencies we get called into, I'm like, okay, so what's the consequence for not doing this? Well, maybe we'll talk to the person. Maybe? I say this probably once a week to somebody. When would that become insubordination? I was like, you could tell me that the person needs to do it 365,000 times. Just put a number down and let's start counting. But when there is no consequence, we need to be upfront that that is a message to the team that we are not thriving. That is a message to the team. Do whatever the F you want. That is a message to the team that, you know what, you're not really leading this place, right? You're just sort of hanging out for a minute. Go back to performance. And yes, people might get pissy, but you know what they're mad at? They're mad at themselves for not holding themselves accountable. That burns off. The right people stay and thrive, and you'll get 20% more out of them. The wrong people get relocated to your competition and waste their payroll. You choose. And if you do the things I'm talking about here with bots and VAs and finding entry-level people and training them, your agency is no longer as vulnerable as it was in the past 5 years. So let's get going on those opportunities. And this leads me to, one of the things that I want to leave you guys with. I've said it a couple times in this podcast, but we need to be nerdy. We need to double down on education and training. I don't care your team says that they don't need training. Quiz them. When we do training with agencies and we do our live virtual small group training we just launched, we have a coverage wheel. Do you know how many people can't describe core coverages to an actual human? They can process an endorsement. They can do a certificate, but talking to a human about what that coverage does, blank stares. So before you say, oh, they don't need training, why don't you quiz them? Why don't you do a pop quiz in your next meeting and see if they need training? Because I bet you that they do, because they're not explaining life insurance or flood insurance or some of the core coverages, or do they even know the top discounts for your top 5 carriers? If they don't, they need training. So in my mind, 2026, mandatory education. You can use us with our live virtual training. We have a video library. We'll come train your team on efficiency, wow service, leadership, retention, sales. You are not alone in this, and there should be no excuses for you not providing training and holding your team accountable to it if you're doing one of our self-serve options. But there has to be a huge focus on coverage. I mean, nerdy. Be nerdy. Your ideal customer wants somebody nerdy. Oh, wow, that's what I have in my policy. Oh, that's cool. That's good. Okay. Your crappy customer is just going to bite your head off about price. And that's what you've been spending your time on. If you're going to level up to renewal reviews, let's get nerdy. We need to have training on carriers because they're going to shift and move and wiggle. And if you're not on top of how to apply discounts, you can ask the marketing reps. One thing I love doing to my marketing rep friends is when they say, we're not getting enough business out of that one company you work with, I say, okay, let's send you 10 quotes that you lost out on. They quote them. You might be surprised how competitive they can get. Not on everyone, but on a good amount of them, because they have one company to know. You have several, but you still have to know them. So let's learn and get really good at how to make those policies work. We also need to train on systems and technology. I am so livid. I'm kind of fired up, so you can tell. I look at the agency, I'll be like, okay, so tell me what your tech stack is. They do all this. I'm like, great, let's look at a login report. Nobody's logging in. Things like Canopy Connect, things like, Zoom is used half-heartedly. eSign is only used sometimes, texting apps, you name it. I mean, whatever tech stack you got. And I'm like, why? Well, I guess they just don't know how. They don't want to use it. And I'm like, great, let's go back to basics. But the accountability and performance, a leader needs to be looking at these things and holding people accountable. It's your way of doing things. You pick the experience for your customer, that everybody's supposed to be delivering it. Do not allow everybody to pick their own way of experience for their customers. We also need to be auditing our processes, listening to recorded phone calls. I'm talking about accountability here, people. If we're not auditing our processes, again, people think they're optional. It's not good. And we got to overcome those price objections and retain seasoned staff as markets change. But here's the thing, guys. This is going to be an awesome market to be in. But it's going to take us all getting fired up like I am today. It's going to take us getting that game plan. That's why I'm so, want you guys to look at our strategic plan. We also have our process pack on how to hire. It is time for us to have better standards. It's time for us to level up the game. It's time for us to set the pace for the rest of the team for the new year. And if you need help doing that, again, you're not alone. Contact us. We exist for this reason. We're the industry's best friend. And if anything I said today here resonated with you, take a moment and go ahead and get that strategic planner or call us. We have solutions. But don't sit by the wayside in 2026. Otherwise, I fear your agency might be gobbled up by one of our clients, and you don't want that.